Welcome to the Accounting Technology Lab, sponsored by CPA Practice Advisor, with your hosts, Randy Johnston and Brian Tankersley.
Welcome to the Accounting Technology Lab. I'm Randy Johnston with my co-host, Brian Tankersley. We're wanting to talk today about a portal called HubSync. Now, there's about 48 portals that are sold into the accounting profession in the U.S. market by our latest count. I'm sure we'll find more as time goes on. And we've covered a number of the competitors in other podcasts with you. Now, HubSync is out of Alexandria, Virginia. They tend to work in higher end firms. So we recognize many of you are from smaller firms. This may not be as good a fit. But what this product does is actually pretty stunning. It accomplishes what I like to have done. See, in my world, a portal for your firm you should be able to have one for all your practice areas. So if you're doing tax and client accounting services or CAS and audit and others, you should be able to do that through a single portal. And HubSync gets that done. Now, we're quite cognizant that there's other portals that can cover all three of these areas as well. But this one is interesting because they do very tight integrations into practice management and document management. Not everything is covered by all the bigs, but almost everything is covered. So if you're a Wolters Kluwer shop, or you're a Thomson Reuters shop, or you're an Intuit shop, or you're a Iris shop, or a Carbon shop, and so forth, this company has done the integrations already. So that makes it kind of attractive, e-signatures included and so forth. So Brian, I've probably started off with too long of a rant because normally I'd say, what would you like our listeners to know about HubSync? But, again, I've followed the product pretty much since inception. And I will just tell you, I'm impressed on this high-end portal product.
Well, it's got a number of different features that I think are helpful for firms of all sizes. It's got an engagement letter wizard, has tools for collecting data and doing PBC lists, and then tracking the outcome of those. Workflow tracking for tax returns and other engagements, e-signature, e-filing, as you can track all your e-filing in one place. Client portal and document delivery. It also has got some visualizations for planning and analytics. And one of the other interesting things that they do is they do an R&D tax credit tool. So they can help you put together the documentation justifying the claiming of an R&D tax credit. So it's a wide range of different things, and we've looked at other solutions like KIPSI for R&D tax credits. But, again, this is kind of got it integrated into that platform.
Yeah, in fact, I was actually going to call KIPSI by name because their R&D gathering is about the most sophisticated and simple to use that I've seen. However, again, my call on HubSync for our listeners is that this platform is pretty much covering everything. Now, do I consider it the silver bullet and it's the only one I recommend? No. Part of the issue there, this is not trivial to implement and it's not inexpensive. So you're going to have to be aware of that when you approach HubSync. But I am very pleased with their capabilities in each of the major practice areas. They also have a bit of a focus around legal, and I think part of that is driving litigation support and driving other areas like that. But I'm not unconvinced that they don't want to span out into other vertical markets like legal, although they've been very focused on accounting up to this point. Another key thing that the product does well is it works globally. So many of the products that we've recommended don't work well outside U.S. borders, for example. Trying to get multi-factor authentication often fails and so forth. So as you laid out, Brian, this end-to-end process, engagement letter capabilities, the PBC capabilities with the workflow, being able to process e-sign and then e-file on the back end. That part of this product is, I think, very, very well done. Now, one of the things that the vendor does, and they've done it for some time, is they actually very specifically work with your firm in a consultative approach. It's part of the reason their implementation expense is higher, but they also tailor their solutions then to fit with your firm's vision and requirements. And that's a good thing as I'd see it. So, it's a bit of a compromise, more expense, better experience for your team members, possibly better experience for your clients. And the goal of the platform is to help your team, to help your employees minimize the administrative duties in a pretty usable interface. And, so that part of it I like. Now, Brian, as I think about the team, the management team and developers behind this, I've known quite a few of them for a lot of years. They claim, and I think correctly so, that all of their team had 10 plus years of CPA firm automation experience. The CEO has been around the tax and accounting space for 30 plus years. And, as I've spoken with him, it is, real clear that John has a great understanding of the needs, particularly as he would see it from his perspective, and I think with others. So, are there other key things that would be helpful, Brian? And I guess one final call over before I hand it to you is many of the team comes from our ex Big Four. They come from Big Four firms, just like we've seen with platforms like Inflow, ex Big Four. So this will work more like a large firm will work and probably less like a small firm will work. But what other things would you say are important?
I think the planning and analytics tool and the gateway are both interesting. The gateway is actually a customizable dashboard that shows you key performance indicators and metrics. And in this age of growing private equity large firms, I think that's a critical need that a lot of those PE backed firms have, because one of the first things they're typically doing is putting in something approximating real time reporting of just about every kind of results out there so that they can, again, be more effective at what they're doing. Another thing that I think is critical, we've talked about the NULA application, KNUULA. That's an engagement letter tool, but I think the engagement letter automation is a thing whose time has come. It's one can go back to the 80s and 90s when insurance companies got those standard terms and conditions and standard contract language, and were really much more effective in building that out and putting in or taking out riders out of insurance policies. And it's well past time that a human being should be sitting generating a new engagement letter for every single job that's bespoke for that particular job. So many of them can use something that's much more standardized, and again, get the right things in there and just make them more effective generally.
Yeah, so you're really awful, correctly so, on this analytic dashboard and the take on a lot of the PE firms, excuse me, as they expect to go in and replace and automate things that aren't done well. But the analytics inside HubSync can do multi-views on engagement statuses or engagement length of time used, the qualified expenses on that. And further, they have a survey tool inside their platform. Now, the survey can be used to gather all sorts of data, but just think of it as a, client satisfaction survey. But it's far more than that in this particular piece, another item that we haven't really talked about. And they have what they call a deliverable wizard, and it's really a document generator with templates, and then it integrates to a lot of these other systems that they work with. They do some conditional formatting in that and some document routing in there. So, when you start looking at how this platform works, there's just more sophistication than we typically see. And I think it was built to satisfy the needs of the larger firms with the larger complexity involved. So, Brian, I think this might be a good time. Any parting thoughts for our listeners on the HubSync platform. Again, big platform, probably better that you demonstrate it, ask for pricing and so forth on this particular instance, because there's a whole lot to see here.
Okay, so automation and integration is the future of accounting, where we're focusing on creating a personalized experience, but then we're using automation to deliver quite a few of the touches that are needed with clients, whether it be engagement letters or PBC schedules, or again, even the data for engagements like those, like the R&D tax credit gathering. So, you don't have to get on this plane, but I think you need to get in the back of your mind that you need to get on somebody's plane for engagement, integration, and automation, and communicating with clients. This may be the right tool for you. It may not be the right tool for you, but I think you need to be thinking about how you're making the automation better for your clients and how you're providing best in class, similar to what we're seeing with just about every other service provider out there that's texting you reminders of your appointments, and again, setting up appointments in your Outlook automatically, and doing all kinds of things like that to make it possible for you to practice your profession instead of having to go in and deal with 500 zillion little details, and taking the risk that either you or the client or both are going to drop the ball on one or more of those.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And Brian and I have spoken with you in several different technology accounting labs about the need for portal automation. And it is really a combination of the end-to-end experience with engagement letter delivery, PBC gathering, delivery of final work product with e-signature and payment. That's kind of the way we're thinking about the world. HubSync tends to get that done. Now, from a pricing perspective, I'm not speaking for the vendor. Many of these products price by user, but I believe they do a flat rate pricing based on your size firm and the items that you implement. So anyway, make sure that you follow Brian's advice. If you don't have a modern experience portal, you need to really get one, and get one soon. And we are trying to keep you from having 2, 3, 4, 5 portals in your firm. Look for one that satisfies your needs. Well, we appreciate you listening in, and we will talk to you again soon in another Technology Accounting Lab. Good day.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. We'll be back next Saturday with a new episode of the Technology Lab from CPA Practice Advisor. Have a great week.